Hi, welcome to Love Saranghae with Peter and Andrea. In the next 30 minutes, we'll take you on a journey into the exciting world of entrepreneurship, relationships, and the secrets behind achieving that coveted glow. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Love Saranghae with us, Peter and Andrea. Today, we're diving into Peter's journey of perseverance, determination, and self-discovery. Peter spent 10 months training for one of the most grueling mountain races in the world, the Zermatt Matterhorn Ultraks 50K. He faced some of the toughest moments during this race, and though he didn't cross the finish line, what he achieved along the way was far greater than any medal. Join us as we explore his thoughts, challenges, and how he found victory even in stepping away from the race. Are you ready, Peter?
My God, to revisit one of the greatest journeys and the greatest places I've ever been. I'm so happy. I love Zermatt. I want to talk about it all the time. So yes, I'm more than ready. Let's revisit my race.
All right. You're so excited for this one. Peter, can you take us back to the moment you first decided to sign up? Like, what were you thinking for the Zermatt Matterhorn Ultraks? What inspired you to take on such a demanding?
Great question. So everybody knows Strava. I'm a member of Strava.
For those who don't, why don't you tell us what it is?
So Strava is like Facebook, right? Social media for athletes. And you can track your runs through GPS. You can track your bike rides. You can track swimming, etc. And then you share it with friends who follow you, etc. It's just a way of tracking all of your activity and people to and kind of follow people who share the same passion as you. I use it because I follow people that run, in France or in Switzerland or other places. So I get an idea of running routes. I'm like, oh, if I'm ever in Italy, I'll take this guy's route and run that route. So it's really easy and handy for that. So I ran across a guy named Martin just by accident in Strava. And he had mentioned that he's training for something in Switzerland called the Ultrax 50K. And I'm like, what is this? Right? What is this? So I did my research. Yeah, so we started talking about it, back and forth, and I got kind of intrigued by it. So I looked it up because I was looking for a race anyway. I was looking for, what can I train for the next year? Something interesting, something I could take my family to, because going alone is it's not the most fun doing it yourself. And also, I can't just simply take days away from my family all the time. So it had to be something that we could do together.
But you can, but you don't want to.
Well, I don't want to. And Switzerland was something that could be enjoyed by the whole family, right? Who doesn't want to go see the Matterhorn and Zermatt?
Yeah.
So I said, perfect. The race is in August. And when I looked at the pictures and the videos, it was awe-inspiring, right? This is sky running at its finest. You're going through scree, you're running right by the Matterhorn, you're climbing up to 4,000 meters. Like, wow, right? What a run this would be. So I signed up right away. And I told my wife, I said, this is what we're going to do for our vacation next year.
Remember what happened? Like what I said? I wasn't happy about it.
No, she wasn't happy about it because she didn't want to spend. She did it because the problem is that Zermatt is a mountain town, which means that in the summer, up 3,500 meters above sea level, it's like 8 degrees Celsius, even in the dead of summer.
Like a thick jacket.
You need a jacket, right? Like it's cold. And she's like, I don't want to spend my summer vacation being cold.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, the gears started turning, right? And I go, oh no. So I said, okay, what about if we go to Spain first and then fly over to Switzerland afterwards? Because it would only be a couple-hour flight. So that's how we ended up with a Spain vacation. In the beaches in the sun, Costa del Sol, which actually means the coast of the sun, to Zermatt. It literally went from 41 degrees Celsius, which had to be something like 98 degrees Fahrenheit, to something like 12 degrees Celsius in the morning, which is like, 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So it went from those two extremes. And up at Gornograd, which is the top of the highest point of the race, it was something like 7 degrees Celsius.
No, it was less. We all had
it was cold.
About winter jackets.
It was freezing cold, yeah.
You trained for this. You signed up. You decided. You didn't have a lot of information.
No,
that
I
you
did not.
learned along the way.
No, I did
You
not.
signed up and you did your best to figure out your training. So you trained vigorously for 10 months. How did you mentally and physically prepare for the race? And what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in that preparation?
So I did not know what, the very first time you run any course, you're flying blind. You're trying to figure out what, you're visualizing exactly how you would feel, what you would do, what problems you come across. It's impossible when you're doing this the first time around. Even if you're looking at the topography map, it's just a map. There's no visceral feeling. So I asked a lot of questions. It just came up. There was nobody I knew would actually run the race because Martin, who was supposed to run it, he got injured before. Yeah, he broke his ankle before the run. So he broke his ankle the day before the race in Switzerland doing a training run. Yeah, that's such a sad story. Anyway, he didn't have anything to say because he didn't run the race, right?
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. So what I did was I tried to figure out the topography map, and I said, okay, the best way to train for this for over 10 months is to give myself races or events along the way that gave me shorter goals, so I can work up to a goal every 4 months, right? So I tried to go for a 100K flat ultra in May, and then I also had a climbing expedition in July, early July. So, and then I had another race earlier on that I could train for. So it's not so long and so boring where you lose motivation. You're looking for one event to the next. That would get me to the big event, which is the Ultrax. So you have sub events and the main event.
So what were some of your challenges as you went
two
through
big
all
challenges.
of that training? One
is that when you don't know what you're really training for and you just kind of guess, you tend to fall into the easiest thing you can do. So I started running long but flat, right? I said, as long as I go out there and try to push it, it'll be fine, right? It'll be fine. Because I had no idea what those would look like. That was my first mistake because the race turned out to be like, it had literally only this much run and everything else was a climb and falling, controlled falling.
So it's mostly a hill run.
It was mountains. It was complete mountains, right?
So it was nothing of it was flat.
The second thing was that I got sick 3 times. I got sick. I don't know what happened. I think one of the times I had COVID. I had lung issues, coughing issues. They would last for weeks. And so I lost a lot of training time because of that. And so that really did hurt me. But those are the 2 big challenges was getting sick and just doing the wrong things, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's when you sign up for a race like that, that's so far away far away in distance. And a place you've never been before, running a mountain that you've never run before. There are so many challenges in knowing how to train for something like that.
Exactly.
Even we live in Toronto, Canada, and we do not have mountains like that. Like even if you went to
Blue Mountain?
Mont Tremblant. Blue Mountain is hardly a mountain. It's a hill. But considering what we have here is very, very different than the terrain there. And that terrain is, a lot of the people there who were part of that race, they live there.
That's right.
And they run there leisurely. Like it's part of their morning run or whatever it is.
That's what I do for fun, right? We sit here, we do social media. Maybe we do, I don't know, triathlon, biking. Over there, they run the mountains for fun.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference, right?
And they start when they're little. Like when we were there and we were hiking, there was families with infant babies strapped on to the mother, the father, and they were doing some pretty incredible climbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's normal. Like that's what you do there.
It's completely normal.
Different than the life that we sort of grew up leading. So that was the first thing that you were not prepared in that way.
That's right. That's right. I was ill-prepared.
It's hard to know if you're not going there.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that though, right? So you do the best you can.
Sure.
I did do a lot of uphill running and a lot of downhill running as well. I did, a full month of hill training. But again, the terrain going down a mountain in Zermatt is not the same as going down Yonge Street here in Toronto. It's a complete difference.
Even the hills that we have today, even if you want to try and simulate it, they don't have moving rocks.
My God. It was scary sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, During the race, though, what were the toughest moments that made you start to reconsider finishing? Was there like a specific point when you knew it was time to make the decision to stop? Did someone tell you to stop? What happened? What were you thinking? And then what happened?
I'll give you the full story. Okay, so for everybody's, just so I leave it out there, I fully intend to finish the race. Right? Yeah. At no point did I think that okay, I'm gonna quit this race. That wasn't the thing that happened. Right?
No.
So the very first 16 kilometers of that run, you climb up about 2,000 meters from start to the point. And so it's basically, when you start running, it's just climbing, right? Climbing. And the first tough thing was that I was not ready for that type of climb. Yeah. I was sore, and I was spasming in areas I never knew had muscle. Like, I've never felt that kind of pain before, right? So I was just climbing and climbing and climbing, and some of these people were just bouncing past me. Some were just like me. We were gassing out. We've never had climbs like this before, and I ran out of water. I was carrying 4 liters of water, and in that 16 kilometers of going up, actually 8, because we stopped at the first water station. I filled up again. It's such a hard climb. It was so hot. I went through the entire 4 liters of water, and I ran out of water. I was thirsty as heck. And it was the hardest physical grinding thing I've done in a long, long time. So that was one. And so we got up to Gornal Grat. I was refilling the water. I was waiting for my family there to visit. And
yeah, we were supposed to meet him at Gornal Grat, but we couldn't get onto a train in time. So we missed each other by probably 15 minutes.
So I waited. I had to wait 30 minutes, over 30 minutes. There was a couple of people there, runners there, that had their family there, and I could see their faces lit up, and they were all motivated. I'm like, I'd like some of that, but unfortunately they weren't there. So I finally got up, and my legs at this time were just starting to like spasm. They were doing like jello movements. I'm like, all right, it's okay. Let's go downhill now. We'll make this up, right? So, famous last words. So I started to go, and so I held my own on my uphill. The problem was the downhill. The downhill terrain was very technical. When I say technical, rocks, moving rocks, sharp rocks, sheer drop-offs on switchbacks. They're not like road downhills, right? You have to be careful. And in fact, most of the hikers that we ran into, people who were there just for fun, not racing, they were obviously very slow and trying to make sure they don't fall. And I was doing the same because I've never run this but the local people, they were attacking that downhill like it was me running down a paved road. It was crazy to see. So just an example, there was this woman who had to be 65 years old. She had a hunchback, older lady, and I had passed her on the uphill long ago. Sometime during the downhill, she passed me, and she passed me so fast. It was like a rabbit. She just went boom. And I'm like, how in the world can anyone, let alone a 65-year-old lady, so fast? I was flabbergasted how fast these people were. So that was the big thing. That was the big challenge. I couldn't go faster even no matter how hard I tried because I was so scared and I wasn't used to that type of terrain.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to step. I didn't know how to move. So that was the big challenge.
So those are the moments.
Yeah. And then finally what happened was when I got to a place called Riffelalf, it was 23 kilometers in. The marshal came up to me and said, you have 8 hours to make, you have 3 hours because it was now 2:00. You have 3 hours to make 8 kilometers straight up.
2 hours.
2 hours. Sorry, it was 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah. You have 2 hours to make 8 kilometers up. It is impossible. And I'm like, oh, yeah. In my mind, I did the math. I'm like, yeah, it's straight up. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it because there was a safety time limit gotten. So at a place called Schwartzy, they will, no matter what, if you don't make that time limit by 3:00, they will take you right off. Like there's no choice in the matter. They will take you off. So as I was having this thought, this lady beside me who came in after had the same conversation with the marshal. And she goes like, but it is possible, yeah? And the marshal's like, it is impossible. And the marshal, she goes, no, but it is possible. And the marshal's like, madam, it is impossible. It is not possible. not possible. They had this argument, right? So it was very funny.
So hopeful.
Yeah.
That
And
would be me.
because he goes, you have 2 hours to make 8 kilometers uphill. It is not possible. And she goes, but it is possible.
Did she do it though? Did she keep going?
She kept going. So
Bless her. I
So-
wonder what happened to her.
yeah, she probably got taken up. She definitely got taken up at Schwartzy.
So the point here though is that it wasn't that you can't run 8 kilometers. It's that it's the terrain in
So-
the 8 kilometers
okay.
in your condition.
Yeah. So what happened was he said, it's not possible you to go forward. We're going to take you off in 8 kilometers. So whether you stop here or whether you stop in 8 kilometers, your race is done.
Yeah.
Right? I can't let you go.
Finish.
Yeah. So he said, you have a choice. You can finish here or you can finish in Schwartzy. But I will tell you that the path coming on is downhill and it's very technical. It's loose rock on scree. It's scree, basically loose moving rock on gravel. And he goes, in your condition right now, with your legs the way it is, because I can see your legs shaking, I do not recommend that you go down. Because I highly, strongly recommend that you stop here. Yeah, you stop here. So I had a bit of a back and forth.
How did you feel in that moment?
I have to admit, like part of me was disappointed because I wanted to keep going. Part of me was relieved because it was an excuse for me to get off because that downhill was very scary. And thinking about another 2 kilometers of that downhill and then 6 kilometers up was daunting to me, especially the downhill. The uphill, I can hoof it. The downhill, to imagine it was worse than what I came through because all it takes is one trip. And you're going down. And if you're unlucky, you're going down like hundreds of meters.
A lot.
So I was a little relieved that I didn't have to go through that. And I wasn't the only one. Like at that moment, I think there was a dozen runners that basically had to stop right there.
But that's how we found you because we were trying, so we missed you in Guanajuato, but we were going down the train and hopping off at every point to try and catch you.
Yeah.
So we put an air tag in Peter's backpack so we could sort of locate where in the world he was. And so we were following him that way as well as online. And one of our friends who was with us, he said, let's jump off at Riffleaf and to see if we can catch him. And we saw a runner who was getting on the train. And we said, will you run the Ultrax? And he looked so defeated. He's like, I tried. It was my first one.
Yeah.
I have an injury on my knee and I'm not going to finish. And I'm so disappointed. And I'm like, I'm so sorry for you, but where's the water station? Like, I want to be nice to this person, but I really want to find my husband.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, it's over there. So we started running. And luckily, I was with really close friends of ours, and they heard Peter's voice. So they started running faster. And me and the kids are like trying to make it. And we find Peter on the floor.
Yeah, I was lying down, trying to make my legs and my back stop spasming.
I've never been happier to see you, though. Like, I was really worried.
You know, it was very nice to hear, Daddy, Daddy. It was a very inspiring and uplifting moment. But what I want to say, though, is that going into the race, so when I first signed up, I didn't realize there was a time limit. I thought you brought your headlights and then you go all night. And given enough time, I would have just kept going. But knowing afterwards that there was a time limit, I knew doing the calculations that I was not good enough there was a good chance I wasn't going to finish. They were going to take me off at 30. So in fact, I read a race report for 2 years ago, and over 40% of the runners didn't make it, DNF. They couldn't finish. So I knew there was a good chance they wouldn't. So I just enjoy the view. I enjoy being in Switzerland. I enjoy the Alps. I enjoy the beautiful trails, the mountains, you know, God's creation, right? I fully embraced and let myself be a part of the environment, which was absolutely the most inspiring thing I've experienced in a long time. So there was no real disappointment.
I'll tell you, when we were leaving Spain to go to Zermatt, we left on my birthday, and I was really kind of like, I don't want to be traveling on my birthday, number one. Number two, I don't want to go to a cold place. I wasn't really looking forward to it. Like, I was excited to support you. I was really happy that we got to be there for you and do that thing. But I'll tell you, when we took the train into Zermatt, and I saw the magnitude of the mountain and just the sheer beauty of it. Like, I've never seen that before. I've been to the Rockies in Canada. I've experienced mountains before in different parts of the world, but I've never experienced it quite like Switzerland. It was like, I felt like I was in a movie set, and it wasn't real. And I was in awe the entire trip, and I actually really fell in love with Zermatt. I really, really loved it. I highly recommend anybody who should go, because it's godly, like it's magnificent in a way that you can't comprehend until you've seen it.
Yeah. It's I call them cathedral mountains, right? It's a house of God.
It's, whether you believe in God or not, or the universe, but it's just something incredible.
Gives you energy for sure. It's unbelievable. And I have I wish I can go back to Zermatt soon, because it's a beautiful place. Absolutely.
But despite not finishing, you mentioned that you still came out on top. Like, you were in very high spirits after that run for a while.
Yeah,
What
I think I
does that
still
mean
am.
for you? Like, what were the most valuable lessons you took away from the entire experience?
I don't run these to win, right? I'm never going to be the fastest guy. I'm never going to be the most fit athlete competing in most of these races, right? But I still go anyway, because my objective is not to win or not to be the best runner in the world or the fastest in the world. And that's the reason why I actually trail run or mountain run, because I love the mountains. I love being in there. And I love being in there while I'm running, because it allows that sense of like meditative state that I get into when I run, that sense of peace becomes magnified, and it becomes symbiotic with the mountains and with the trails and nature when I run. And so I just want to experience that moment with my family and with myself in nature. It makes me, and again, whether you believe in God or not, in all religions, it makes me feel like I am closer to said God, right? To understand what he really means when he created the planet. So
Close up to something bigger than yourself.
yeah. And so I'm always a winner. I win when I put my foot into this course or this race, and I let the energy flow in, and let myself be part of this for however long that I can. It's a win for me. I don't expect to win anything. I don't expect to be, I'm top 5, top 10. That means nothing to me.
That'd be nice.
That means nothing to me. The reason why I train, the reason why I work hard and I suffer is because the experience is even more poignant and more powerful when you push hard, when you do hard things, and when you suffer. The pain and the suffering allows you to even become more open to the energy. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel. And so that's why I keep going and train hard and do all of these things, so I can experience it even further and deeper. And so I'm always a winner. I'm always, even just when I step foot on that course, I consider myself to have won that race, I guess.
Yeah, it's like you're always putting yourself in situations that are hard and that are a little bit bigger than you, or a lot bigger than you. And it kind of shows you what you're capable of, and how we're never really stretching far enough. And we put limits on ourselves because we think we are too old, or we're too this or too that. But when you challenge yourself in this kind of way, it sort of opens up an entire world that you didn't know existed even. Like, even just traveling. The idea of traveling, when you see other cultures and other religions and just other communities living life in a similar, like, for example, we have small children. All those people over there have small children. But the way their children are living and the way ours are living, it opens up your eyes to another way of life that could be not necessarily better or worse, but different.
Yeah.
And it puts things in a different perspective for you, which I think is a really cool learning experience for all of us.
It absolutely is. And the other thing that when I had an aha moment was, I've talked to ultra runners and people who do 100-mile runs, right? And you look at them run, like some of the pros, they're so fast and they're so light and they go forever. And it looks easy for them. Like, oh my God, it must be nice. Either they train hard enough or they're naturally fit, they run. But when you talk to them, what you realize is that it hurts them too.
Nah.
They experience no less pain and suffering than you do. They have the same questions that go in their head, like, why am I doing this? This sucks. I should stop here. This hurts. My knee is hurting. I'm seeing hallucinations. I want to sleep. My stomach is going nuts. I need to eat food. I'm going to throw, like, all of these negative thoughts sometimes when you have yourself in life, but also when you're suffering. These people who seem to be doing so well go through the same things. It's just that they've done it for so long, they know how to handle it. That's it. They just know how to deal with the pain. Push through. Yeah. They're going through the same things that I'm going through. You just need to figure out how to deal with it.
So how does that transfer into your life?
I think it's important to understand that just because you see somebody doing well, somebody doing, it looks easy to them, that's not necessarily the case. They have their own problems. They have their own challenges. They go home at night with worries just like you do. And it's some rise up to it, and it's up to you to rise up to it too. It's just how you respond to it.
What their journey was to
exactly.
that. We always see the success stories, the overnight success stories, but we don't really know that it took a decade or two to get to that overnight success.
Exactly, right? You see them only
see all of that.
Yeah,
stuff because it's not glory. It's not sexy.
Yeah, when a guy crosses the finish line on Ultrax, you celebrate the guy crossing the finish line. You smile. Oh my God, he's so fast. He's so smiley. But you don't see the 50Ks of running he just did, right? The falls, the twisting the ankle, the grimacing of pain, the running out of what. It happens to all of us, right?
All the training that you did, like all the failures, all the moments of what am I doing that led up to that day of running.
Exactly.
Successful race. So
exactly.
It's a good life lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, you often connect life to the running and the trails and all the hard things that you try to do. So now I'm doing it too.
Yeah. It is.
Rubbing off on me.
Oh, it's spiritual.
Is there anything else you want to say about that? Any last words?
If any one of you are interested in running an Ultrax race or going to Switzerland, I urge you to visit Zermatt. I recommend Zermatt at least once in your life with your family. It is a beautiful place, highly spiritual, and those Alps are so beautiful. You'll definitely appreciate them.
And the water is the best tap water. Like you can drink the toilet water.
Yeah, it's so clean.
Do that, but obviously, I've never had water taste so delicious. And I love water. Like I drink a lot.
It was so clean out there.
This was something else.
Oh, I recommend or I urge you to do things that is a little outside of your comfort zone. If you think you can run 20 kilometers, just see if you can run 25. If you think you think you can climb a mountain, do a little higher or tougher than what you think you can do. Push yourself outside your zone and see if you can meet it. Because the only negative thing that can happen is that you might not get there the first time, but it gets a little easier the next time.
That's a great message. Peter's journey reminds us that success isn't always about crossing the finish line. Sometimes the real triumph lies in the strength it takes to know when to pause and in the lessons learned along the way. Whether you're training for the next big event and navigating personal challenges, remember that every step forward counts. Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you found this episode meaningful to you. Remember, in whatever big goals you are setting out to accomplish, it's not the end goal or the end result that defines us, but the journey itself. We'll see you soon.
See you, Zermatt.
Thanks for listening to Live Saranghae with us, Peter and Andrea. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. Your ratings and reviews help more people like you find our show. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode and share this podcast with someone you think would love it. Until next time, love yourself, love one another, and love the world.